Welcome back to the Cash Practice Solution Podcast, where we help independent cash practices thrive outside the insurance game. I'm your host, Dr. J, and today we're sounding the alarm on a new rule that could seriously affect how you practice medicine, specifically in Texas. As of January 1st, 2025, Rule 200, which I kind of loved, it was a really good rule that helped you give a really quick disclosure and consent to alternative medicine patients. If you had it, they didn't hassle you. It was repealed January 9th of 2025. It's out. TAC, Texas Administrative Code 171, is in. This is a major update to the Texas Admin Code. And if you offer any kind of complementary alternative medicine, however you might define it, this rule applies to you. If you haven't heard about it, you're not alone. The TMB has quietly mentioned the changes in the Texas Register. But with the exception of the physician who notified me, none of my colleagues were aware of the new changes. I've been on the phone with doctors all over Texas, in leadership positions and in the trenches, and everyone is shocked at the burden of documentation that this new rule creates. The opinions from our attorneys have ranged from, why are doctors allowing this? To, we'll just have to see what happens when the first prosecutions begin. That's not very helpful. I don't know about you, but I'd rather take action than trust to the tender mercies of the Texas Medical Board. Knowing them is to fear them. So I'll show you the problem we face and the solution. Let me break it down for you. Here's a scoop. TAC 171 replaces Rule 200. So the easy Rule 200 has been replaced, and it dramatically increases the compliance requirements around CAM, complementary and alternative medicine. I'll just call it CAM. We're talking off-label prescriptions, which pretty much every doctor who's been in practice for 10 or 20 years does it. Have you ever used propranolol for stage fright? Well, it's only for hypertension. Have you ever used gabapentin for pain? It's only for seizures, right? So you're off-label. You better fill out that form, 3 pages. Compounded medications, bioidentical hormone therapy. By the way, 60% of doctors prescribe that. IV infusions, peptides, supplements. Supplements are like 80% of doctors prescribe them. Regenerative therapies that I do, like PRP, and even basic, old school, you'd figure it'd be considered traditional by now, acupuncture is considered CAM. And osteopathic manipulation. I mean, 25% of doctors in the United States now are osteopaths. And we're all alternative, I guess. Well, under TAC 171, every CAM treatment now requires a 3-page detailed written disclosure and consent form signed by the patient, which has to live then in the patient's chart. So no verbal consent, no casual mention in your notes. Yeah, we talked about it. This is full-on legal documentation and 3 pages of it. You might think, okay, I'll just update my intake forms. We've got a process for that. We'll do it. But here's where it gets tricky. Each service you provide has to have its own specific consent. That means if you're doing IV therapy and you're recommending peptides, you have to have one for IVs and one for peptides. And each of them requires 3 pages with initials, and you'll need 2 separate consents. Oh, you know what? I thought maybe some oral vitamin C would help. Oops, now you got 3. How do you like that? And if you're doing anything off-label, same story. In our practice, we do very complicated protocols. We do some nutrition work, maybe 3 or 4 supplements. Maybe we'll do an IV. Maybe we'll do acupuncture all in one visit. So we're talking about many, many pages, 15, 20 pages of consents. So manual compliance with this law is a nightmare. I don't think I could do it. You basically need a dedicated administrative person trailing you around every day, not even a transcriptionist. It would be more than that, just to keep up with the paperwork. And let's be real. I mean, if you've got to put up with that much aggravation and documentation and nausea and vomiting, which would be my case, you're just not going to do the treatment. I'm just going to bag it. The patient might need the treatment, but if I have to write for 10 or 15 minutes of paperwork just to justify it, I'm just going to probably not do it. I don't have the time or the energy. There's just too much aggravation. So what's the move? First, don't ignore this. The Texas Medical Board is serious about CAM oversight. If your documentation isn't tight and right, you're opening yourself up to a disciplinary action. Something bad's going to happen. Even if you provide excellent care, your patients can be really happy and really squared away and doing well. But if you don't have your paperwork right, you can get in serious trouble. Second, consider this a wake-up call, because I've been through this process a little bit with medical records and having to really justify my work, and it can be a huge hassle. Get all your stuff together. Get your consents together, your documentation process. Go through your services one by one and ask, does this require a procedure-specific consent? Like I do joint injections. You should have a consent for that. To prescribe antibiotics for a cold, you probably don't need them. But if it even gets close to alternative, you probably should think about it. Is it stored in the chart? Is it easy to find? If the TMB comes knocking, if Texas Medical Board comes knocking, can I show it? If the answer is no, or even, I don't know, you could do better. So here's the compliance strategy I think that makes sense. Here's the good news. Technology is catching up. There are platforms built specifically for this kind of adaptability. Everything that they're asking for, treatment plans and diagnoses and side effects, and it's all in the chart. The question is grabbing all that stuff from all the places and putting it in there. If you do it manually, it's unbelievably time consuming. If you let your charting software do it, it can take seconds. Regulatory challenges like this are easily handled with a system that's modern with responsible AI that can build, interpret, and document in real time for CAM visits. Think about this. It's the dream. Automated content, consent generation, intelligent charting, the EMR integrated to the whole thing without any headaches. It's like having a digital compliance officer that works for you 24/7. I don't know about you, but digital compliance officers sound a whole lot better than a compliance officer who would probably be a really geeky, difficult person to hang around with because they'd always be picking at you, right? The software doesn't pick at you. You set the software up, you make it your employee. And then you tell the software what you want the consent to look like. You press that button, sign, and you're good. I've seen it in action. It's legit. So if you want to protect your license without hiring another full-time employee, check out esprehealth.com. That's ESPRE Health, HEALTH.com. I think you'll be duly impressed. And legislative relief for this isn't going to happen overnight. The Texas legislature is in session for 2 or 3 weeks. They're all done deciding what they're going to vote on. This thing's not going away. It's a couple of years, if not more. Much easier to take a little preventive medicine and get this squared away. Otherwise, you could wind up with a real headache. And I'd hate to see that, especially when cash practices become the thing. Don't let this stand in your way. So to wrap it up, TAC 171 isn't just red tape. It's a shift in the way that the state is regulating alternative and integrative care. There was a time where, with Rule 200, they were saying, go ahead, just be a good guy, handle it right. So politically, you could see this as a move to suppress innovative medicine in Texas. You know, you could see it that way if you want. I'm going to stay silent after that. If you stay proactive and smart, it's manageable. It's an opportunity to show your patients and your peers, other colleagues, that you run the next level practice. Future focused, you've got it. You know what you're doing. So that's it for today's episode. I don't like to do emergency alert, like, I don't think fear is a good thing. I think I love my patients. I want to do a good job for them. I don't want to be taken out by some stupid regulations. You probably don't want to either, for whatever motivation you have. You know, you've worked awfully hard to have your career. You'd hate to see it taken away by some stupid regulatory activity that you can easily comply with. If you found this helpful, if you find this kind of thinking helpful, share it with a colleague who needs to hear it. And don't forget, subscribe for more tips on thriving in the world of cash-based medicine. So until next time, our mantra, listen to your patients, learn their stories, and love them with all your heart. You will be unstoppable.
Thanks for joining us. And if you have enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to hit subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes packed with insights to help your cash-based practice thrive. And don't forget to check out all the tools and resources available at cashpracticesolution.com. They're free to you, and we're always adding more. Keep raising the bar in patient care. We'll reconnect in the next episode with more ways to help you succeed.